Welcome to a game that will keep you busy for at least 5,000 hours. These are factions, and each faction has sub-factions or heroes, and oh my goodness, it is here, the grand mega campaign, Immortal Empires. And we're going to read a bit.
Empire's blessings, yes.
Correct. We already read The Empire and Warriors of Chaos. And we're going to read now Lizardmen, Ogre Kingdoms, and Gran Cathay. And then we're done. And we're going to start Karl Franz. I mean, he's the Emperor. Summon the Electors Count, dude. And stop bothering me what I'm playing first. Alrighty, Lizardmen. Lizardmen are an ancient race of cold-blooded reptilians said to be the first and oldest civilization. Alien, enigmatic, and entirely without mercy, the Lizardmen were there at the start of all things and will be there when the world draws its last dying breath, never tiring nor relenting until order is finally restored to this uncaring, chaotic world. From the primeval jungles of Lustria they come, disciplined cohorts of saurian warriors, with giant, scaly beasts in their midst, led by the most powerful sorcerers the world has ever seen. The ground trembles from their approach. They go to battle for reasons indecipherable to others, an ancient plan known only to themselves. The geomantic web. Wait, I didn't want to do that. Stop it! Stop it! Mighty one, please stop it. Geomantic web. Settlements are linked by a network which boosts the power of commandments. Yes, special spawnings, periodic missions allow access to powerful blessed variants of certain units. That is a feature of a rework through a patch/DLC. It wasn't when Warhammer 2 released that was not part of the faction of the Saurians or Lizardmen. Beasts suitable for every task, though some are so ferocious they may lose control and charge ahead. Yes. Lord Mazdamundi is fully roused in Oxyotal, city of the sun, ready to wage war on all who bring the great plan into discordance. And of course he starts Oxyotal. Lord Mazdamundi is the oldest and most powerful of the living Slan mage priests. At the dawn of creation, he was instructed by none other than Lord Gorok himself. With a matchless mind unfathomable to others, Mazdamundi is obstinate in his way and will not be deterred from that upon which he has decided. Although it took many interruptions to his thoughtful contemplations, at last the great Slan has fully bestirred himself, shaking off the lethargy that has afflicted so many of his kind. In the last few centuries he has become the most proactive of all the mage priests. When riled, the Lord of the Solar City will levitate his palanquin throne atop the largest stegadon that can be found. The current beast, a colossal specimen named Slug, has served Mazdamundi for almost 500 years. Once aloft on his magnificent mount, Mazdamundi will march out at the head of the armies of Oxyotal. With a flick of his wrist, Mazdamundi has smashed entire cities and doomed armies. In his wake, continents burned. His great purpose does not allow for mercy. Rocker, ever the consummate defender, sallies from the Golden Tower to protect the Southlands from the forces of destruction. Oh, he starts... Oh, that's interesting. So that starting location is far off from the previous one. Very interesting. Or is it? Does my memory betray me? No. I believe not. Krokar, known as the last defender of Oxyotal, is an ancient Sauros old blood, the last of the remaining Sauros warriors from the now ruined temple city of Oxyotal. The spawning that brought Krokar into the world produced a handful of other Sauros, each marked for greatness. In the instinctive ways of battle cunning, his warriors were unsurpassed by any of their kind, and each possessed innate dominion over the native beasts of the jungle. Krokar's spawning coincided with the rearing of a brood of mighty carnosaurs, and he claimed the largest and most ferocious as his own. Following the great catastrophe, it was none other than the great Lord Mazdamundi, High Slan Mage Priest of Oxyotal, that summoned Krokar to his temple city, choosing him to lead the great Sauros armies that remained. Mazdamundi gifted Krokar with the ancient artifact known as the Hand of Gods, with which he could sear the flesh from his enemies' bones. Since that day, Mazdamundi has assigned Krokar the sacred task of exterminating those creatures not part of the Old One's great plan. Over his long existence, Krokar has fought many wars, leading the armies of Oxyotal or joining other hosts to aid them in battle. There is no continent upon which Krokar and Grimlock have not fought, but for the last defenders of Oxyotal, the battle is not yet over. And the next one is... These small introductionary videos could use a bit more, I don't know, quality, higher textures. I mean, what is that? 360p? Come on. We have, having gained the recognition of the mage priests of Xlantlek, I can't pronounce that one. The prophet now invokes Sotex through mass sacrifice to secure Lastria's deliverance. Ah. And he started, yeah, I'm pretty sure, Cult of Sotex, he started where he started before. The greatest of the rat-crested skinks, Dehan Hawin, has a zeal for slaughtering Skaven very rarely seen among the ranks of the dispassionate Lizardmen. It seems impossible for a short-lived skink to attain such a lifespan, but it is whispered that a snake sheds his skin and is renewed. So too does Sotex Chosen. On the battlefield he triumphantly grasps the plague of Sotex as he leads his apostles into the fray, commonly attacking in the manner of his twin-tailed deity, forked swords. A serpent strikes quickly, and so too does Dinawin, focusing his army's venomous energy on the enemy's weak points. And we have... Detecto! He's the master of tic-tacs. The fearless master of tic-tacs takes flight from the temple city of Tlakwa to vanquish all who pose a threat to the Sutherland's treasures of tic-tacs. Yeah, that was 10% funnier the first time, and after that was just cringe, I know. The cagey but death-defying skink chief known as Detecto has proven himself peerless when it comes to aerial combat and leading bolt hit and run attacks from the sky, leading his squadron from atop his Pteranodon. Swoop. A keen sense of when and where to strike has led Tikitecto to countless war victories against forces many times greater than his own. The Tikitecto, his name shall never be forgotten. What? Those among his foes who know his reputation attempt to shoot his force out of the air as soon as they come within range, but Tikitecto always evades. A feat easier said than done, since the Master of Skies leads his formations in such breathtaking aerial maneuvers that they can evade clouds of arrows and emerge unscathed to deliver their own lethal attacks. Dragon fire, brutal ruin, destruction, earthquakes. Detecto will survive. There you have it, my boy Itza. The first, in Itza, The first city of the Lizardmen, Gorok, stands at the helm of Lustria's martial might, and the jungle continents are heartlands. Barrier and defense bonuses for Sauros. Starts the campaign with control of Lord Gorok. My goodness, that's ridiculously powerful. And missile defense for the entire army? And unit mass for the entire army? Dude, his effects are... Jeez. Okay, so he starts here in the middle, of course. Gorok, the great white lizard, is among the greatest and most renowned Sauros in living memory. When he first emerged, alone, from the spawning pool of Itza, his size and albino coloring immediately marked him out as a future champion. And so it has been, for Gorok has fought countless battles, his heavily scarred body a testament to myriad hard-won triumphs. He is the mightiest of warriors, the solid center around which his Sauros battle lines advance, and the rock upon which Itza's enemies are broken. Gorok does not know pain or fear, and he does not fear man-flesh. What? Yeah, there was a Lord of the Rings reference before anyone is doing anything stupid and says something wrong. And in combat, he is unrelenting, always looking for another opening to attack, while never taking a single step backwards. And we have... Yeah, this one's an absolute beast. He's the destroyer of units. Nakaya the Wanderer. Nakaya emerges from the vast jungles of Xi'an in Cathay. In where? You serious? Oh, that's extremely... Oh, that's very interesting. That's a cool starting location. Seeking to crush the servants of darkness who have taken root in the Far East. Nice. It was a bit crowded with him here. Especially when you are a specific master hunter. Nice. The ancient Croxigor, known as Nakaya the Wanderer, is a revered creature, regarded by skink priests as a powerful jungle spirit made manifest. As part of the legendary first spawning, he is a mighty protector of lizardmen and can appear anywhere during times of need. Originally home at Lanxla, Nakaya was left masterless following the city's destruction during the Great Catastrophe. Since then, Nakaya has wandered where the Great Plan deems his presence necessary. His arrival is a tangible portent that a battle of great import is about to take place. In the aftermath, the skink priests treat Nakaya with deference, adorning his massive battle-scarred body with ceremonial tokens. Damn, he's a badass. And last but not least... Oxyotal! That's ridiculously powerful. Oxyotal continues to wage war against the demons of chaos from the godless crater in the uncharted southern wastes. Where, what? Okay. Interesting. To survive in the Chaos Realm requires cunning and skill, both of which Oxyotal possesses in abundance. An ancient chameleon skink of unparalleled experience, he has seen the turn of thousands of years, and he witnessed the very origins of chaos in the world. Yeah, that needs to go. A figure in the dark, he strides with a dart from his blowpipe, then slips back into the shadows once more. Wherever the forces of chaos arise, Oxyotal is always sure to follow. Perfect. And the Ogre Kingdoms. Ogres are a race of large humanoids, tough, vicious, and always hungry. Semi-nomadic in nature, wandering ogre tribes can be found wrecking their way across the known world. Yet, no matter how far away they may all be, all ogres consider the scattered tribal kingdoms that dominate the slopes and river valleys of the Mountains of Morn to be the rightful hard-earned homeland. They fight as thugs, bandits and mercenaries, picking on the strong and the weak alike, battling mighty foes and powerful kingdoms thousands of leagues away. They do this for the alluring promise of gold, plunder and, most importantly, meat. for their endless destruction and looting serves only to appease their gluttonous appetites and their ever-hungry god, the Great Maw. And their three abilities are faction mechanics, camps. Deploy camps to create a forward base, constructing buildings and recruiting units from them. Meat. Each army is sustained by meat, sourced from fighting battles and being near camps. Contracts. Factions will issue contracts, fulfill them to increase your standing. That's interesting.
The greatest gut in the land.
Are you kidding me, Creative Assembly? What the heck? Alrighty. Greases, the shockingly obese, has been sleeping off his recent feasting in Karakaten in the mountains of Morn. We're definitely going to play him. Trade Lord, Greases, Tribe Stealer, Drake Crush, Gate Crusher, Hoardmaster, Goldtooth, the shockingly obese, was one of many whelps sired by the infamous Gofk, tyrant of the Goldtooth tribe. So he's TGTDGHG. I'm going to stop this one. Like his brothers, Greases grew up to become strong and fat. Unlike his brothers, he killed and ate his own father. As word spread of such prodigious deeds, many tyrants decided to join the ruthless new leader of the Goldtooth tribe, and soon, once again, the Ogre kingdoms had an over-tyrant. These days, grown older, larger, louder, and richer than ever, Goldtooth's coffers fill faster than his gnoblars can count. Yet Greases' rampant success has not diminished his greed, or his all-consuming desire to conquer everything he sees.
The butcher of butchers.
Jeez, what the heck? Skrag the Slaughterer. Driven by visions of the Great Maw, Skrag has encamped in Myrmidons and roams the border princes seeking to feed his insatiable appetites for war and meat. Oh, that's interesting. So he's down there. Skrag is the legendary prophet of the Great Maw, also known as the Gore Harvester and the Maw that Walks, dragging his massive meat pot behind him, attached to his back with a series of painful, tearing hooks and chains. Skrag hacks and rips at his enemies in a glorious blood-fueled dedication to the Great Maw. In his wake, he leaves a trail of dismembered limbs and body parts, which it is the duty of his Gorg Noblast to retrieve and deposit in his cauldron. Wait, dismembered limbs and body... What the... Okay. Okay, I'm not going to comment this one. And... Yes. Supreme, of course. I mean, she is an ancient dragon, so I guess that's fair. Gran Cathay. Or Cathay. You have to keep in mind, this entire faction, before Warhammer 3, very little was known about it. And Creative Assembly worked with Games Workshop in creating specific units and stories for this faction. So of course we already know we have Harmony, we have Compass, we have the Ivory Road. Past the mountains of Morn and the steppes beyond lies the fabled empire of Cathay. Travelers returning from the eastern reaches tell tales of jade cities and golden pagodas. They recount strange creatures from serpentine dragons to monolithic stone sentinels, and flying sky junks that rain multi-hued firepower from up above. But most of all, they tell of the imposing and disciplined armies that march forth in defense of their kingdom, the thousands of devoted foot soldiers, unswerving in their loyalty, and unrivaled in the harmonics of war. Let their armies face northwards to garrison the great bastion, and defended against the ruinous powers, perhaps a blessing, for should the celestial dragon emperor have to turn his legions toward the nations of the west, the threat to all that may be unleashed does not bear thinking about.
A dragon in human form.
Miao Ying fulfills her duty to defend the great bastion of Cathay from her home in Nangao. Yeah, she starts where she always starts. The Storm Dragon rules over northern Cathay and commands the armies of the Great Bastion. Cold and aloof, she has held this position for centuries, after its defense was entrusted to her by the Celestial Dragon. Despite her power, the Storm Dragon has a significant task in the defense of the North, and her armies are almost constantly at war. Her vaulted position also means her father entrusts her with important tasks, some of which can put her at odds with her siblings. And we have
Dragon Lord of the Iron Wind.
the Iron Dragon, Xiao Ming, spreads his power in western Cathay, striking out from Qiang to head off belligerent dissenters and emboldened enemies. The Iron Dragon. Oh, he starts very low. Interesting. So, she starts here. Storm Dragon, Iron Dragon, he starts below there. A hardened frontier warrior, the Iron Dragon maintains the western edge of the Empire and keeps the desert clans in order. A skilled alchemist, he uses the strange minerals of the Warpstone Desert to create unique weapons for his armies. Cabals of metal and fire wizards are welcomed within his realm, much to the irritation of the Jade Dragon, who sees the encouragement of sorceress organizations outside of the Celestial Court as dangerous to the Empire. These sorcerers help the Iron Dragon in his experiments, and many magical weapons and armors are therefore forged in the dragon cities.
We must preserve this world.
You know what? We're not going to read High Elves. We're done here. My throat needs a pause, so I'm going to do a pause now, and then next episode we're going to start
Summon the Elector Counts.
with him, the One.